wait no longer. Greatness has arrived. Welcome to the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. I'm your host, Joseph, aka Mr. Badbit, and it is here where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. Of course, you can listen to the show wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube at the Trophy Room Show. And if you like what you hear, please consider dropping us a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. You can plop us a follow over on Spotify, or you can toss a buck our way over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. And with all that said, and with all that out of the way, the greatest co-host whoever is, whoever will be, Mr. Kyle Stevenson. How are you, sir?
Doing pretty okay today.
Yeah?
Today was, other than like extremely tiring from work, but like it was a good video game day today.
Oh.
Like outside of PlayStation, right? Like the Nintendo Direct was super fun today.
Nice.
There was a lot of really cool announcements. Great day for RPG fans.
Bro, real talk. The Splatoon 3 trailer where it's like D-Day. Hilarious.
Yeah,
hilarious.
That was pretty good. Like
tastefully hilarious.
The Mario Kart 8 DLC pack is awesome. A lot of really cool things. And then like
all the announcements today.
We're gonna talk about it later, but like Wolf Among Us 2.
Ooh-wee. I know.
Good day on that front.
Yeah. I feel old because, before the show I said I needed to get water. So I ran downstairs and ran upstairs and I'm out of breath.
I get that. But also like before, I'm glad you did that because you were like, I'm going to go get the shit water from the bathroom sink. I'm like, ew.
Yeah. Why
Don't
not?
do that.
It's just tap.
Yeah.
It's for my palate. My throat gets dry midway through the show.
I mean, yeah, that's why I've got some Powerade tonight.
Oh.
Bam. Bam. Hey, that looks pretty good in this shirt.
Actually, it does. And yes, you're right. Our new merch. We got the Trophy Room Bloodborne themed shirt.
Hey.
I got the Horizon themed shirt. We're looking spiffy as all heck. Links down below in the description. Or if you're a gold member, please reach out to me. And by the way, we got the shirts in. They run a little tight.
Yeah.
So if you want to last call on these shirts, if you're a gold member or above, let us know. That said, a little bit of housekeeping before we start the show. This is the last week that you could throw your 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and enter yourself to win a copy of Horizon Forbidden West. The winner will be revealed on Twitter at PS Trophy Room on Monday. Be there, be square, and we'll announce it then on the show on Thursday as well. So again, make sure you tune on in. Don't be late. This one's a big one. And Kyle, we are only 5-star reviews away from hitting 250 reviews in America alone. You believe that?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. I'm almost about to hit that number in platinums, and that's it's pretty nuts that they were getting that in reviews, which are way more important than platinums.
I mean, yeah. It's and also like Spotify, again, our Spotify 5-star giveaway. Add us with a picture of your 5-star review on Spotify at PS Trophy Room or at Mr. Badbit. Enter to win Elden Ring. That will end also next week. So make sure you tune on in. It's going to be, again, there's a lot of stuff to give away and a lot of people are entering. And it's one of those things, Kyle, where I wish I could just give everybody a copy because it's just 5 away. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
That said, this week we have a ton to talk about. This may be the biggest episode of the Trophy Room yet, literally and figuratively.
Whew.
Today we are talking about if PlayStation is actually looking to acquire a Japanese studio / developer, i.e. Square Enix or Capcom. We're going to be talking about how it's official. Call of Duty and other Activision Blizzard games will be staying on PlayStation. We're going to be talking about the rumor of a Jack and Daxter movie in the works. And Kyle, there's just so much more. Like a Lord of the Rings film and game rights are up for sale. All that and more. But before we get into it, I have to thank our amazing patrons over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. And like I say each and every week, if we got you through a long car ride, a tough day at work, whatever your situation may be, it really does help us out if you toss us a buck our way over at patreon.com/PS Trophy Room. I want to thank our platinum members, Todd Burowitz and Toxic. I want to thank our gold members, Spam and Bammin, Too Soon. Congratulations good sir. Welcoming a child into this world. Woo! Congratulations. Gavin Gottfried, Jose Jimenez, Jedi Master Ran, Metal Kirby, Awesome Dave, Robbie Bobby Miller, Shrubbles and Bits, and Chaotic Monkey. I want to thank our Silver Plus members, Hide Indoors, Marcus O'Neill, oh, it's just Ray, JB the Purple Monkey, Jerdus Von Metal, Tim Ulf, Justin Rodriguez, Awesome Dave, Cypher Primus, Captain Logan, Todd Roper, Brendan Zachary, Kay Grimm, Rick Arrington, Dewane Raksha, The Good Sir, Trucker Sloth, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, Drellish, Foolish Fuji, Any Day Now, Kevin Mitchell, Kevin Diaz, Manx Vizia, The Lord Corgi, Elo, 2032, and Steve Flesh. Thank you all for being the amazing patrons this week. We wouldn't be here without you, and we are just so grateful for all of you. So thank you so much. Kyle, enough
Joe?
Pleasantries. We have a lot to talk about in under 2 hours, so let's do this.
Really quickly, Joe, not to put you on the spot.
Sure.
This first bit of news that we're squaring up. Where's it from? Because I can't link it.
The VGC.
VGC. Over at VGC, they write, Xbox is very unlikely to be able to buy big Japanese studios, claims analyst. Microsoft gaming boss Phil Spencer has expressed a desire to purchase an Asian game developer, quote, in particular, a Japanese studio, end quote. In some ways, Microsoft taking over a big Japanese publisher would be bigger news than its plan to acquire Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, according to Dr. Serkan Toto, CEO of Tokyo-based game industry consultancy Canton Games. While it's not beyond the realms of possibility, Nathan Brown's Hit Points newsletter notes that Microsoft's chances of acquiring the likes of Sega, Square Enix, or Capcom were likely slim for several reasons, mostly cultural. Japanese companies are traditionally highly resistant to being acquired from overseas, with many insulated from takeover attempts by a Japanese system called Keiretsu. Keiretsu sees a business group formed by member companies from different industries so that they can essentially look out for each other because they own small portions of the shares in each other's businesses. Toto said any attempt at a hostile takeover would be a suicide mission, end quote, because everyone would leave instantly, adding, quote, I would bet my house this will not happen ever, end quote. And he highlighted cultural and language barriers. Plus, the diversified business portfolio of key players, such as Konami's gym business and Sega's resorts, as further barriers to entry for Microsoft. Quote, nothing can be ruled out in this day and age, said Toto, but in some ways, Microsoft taking over a big Japanese publisher would be bigger news than the Activision deal. So far, no foreign game company has been able to acquire a Japanese studio, and I can guarantee you there have been attempts from both Western and Asian players, end quote. Japan's game developers have consolidated in the past, but as many modern publishers show, including Koei Tecmo, Bandai Namco, Sega Sammy, Sega Sammy? That's really what it is? Oh, that's me. That's not written. That's just me taken aback by that name. And Square Enix. This has been virtually entirely kept to domestic companies. Thus, if Japan's game industry is to consolidate, it will likely be to PlayStation's benefit, according to Dr. Toto. Quote, Sony, of course, has the home field advantage, and some of the challenges that would come up for Microsoft would not apply to Sony, he says. Doesn't have to be one of the publicly traded powerhouses, but I believe Sony is at least considering making a move in Japan soon, end quote.
And also, I do want to give credit to the author, Tom Ivan, over at VGC. That's my bad. 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row, I forget the author and the website. You know?
You're forgiven. I'm going to look up and see if Sega Sammy is really the name of the thing. Sega Sammy Holdings.
Look at that.
Wow.
Mr. Sega Sammy himself named the whole business after himself. Kyle. Okay, so there was some talk in our Discord, right? Yeah. Mr. Nasty Boots, he's like, there's no way because of the strict consolidation or acquisition rules and laws over in Japan that any of this is going on. No one's buying no one. But Dr. Totoro, and he has a PhD in something, has stated that no, if Sony's looking, and they are looking, it's somewhere in Japan. So I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think that there's something here, or do you think that no, if Sony's going to acquire something, it's going to be something Western?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because here's the thing. Yeah. We normally don't talk about all the acquisition talk, right? And we don't try to get high and mighty. So while I buy you a little bit of time to think, I just want to say we are taking a stop into Speculation Town. And it's your decision, Kyle, if you want to go downtown or we just want to window shop. I broke him. Uh-oh. He's fully destroyed.
I like how you said I'm giving you time to think, and then you said downtown or window shopping, and I had that song, Downtown, immediately pop into my head and threw me off. I do think there is some validity there, because going back to last week and what I made that, you have $15 to buy a studio tweet thing that we put up. I actually looked up at the list of third-party developers that are not taken. Mm-hmm. There is a surprisingly low amount of studio developers that aren't part of a bigger thing already.
Yeah.
It's there's under, I want to say 30, 40.
Yeah.
If my count is off. So the ones that I put in there, like Square Enix, Capcom, EA, Ubi, from Kojima, Remedy, IOI, Level 5, Ember Labs, Arc System, Supergiant, and then the Konami IPs. Those are the big ones that make sense.
Yeah.
So if Sony is looking to buy, and Supermassive, which I didn't include in that one, those would be the ones that I think they are actively looking to try to pick up. Mm-hmm. And most of those are Japanese based.
Yeah.
So I think there is some validity that Sony would be going after them. And I think it would be easier for them because Sony is a Japanese
company at the end of the day.
Yeah. And it makes completely valid points. Dr. Toto there, because Microsoft has always been looking to try to gain ground in Japan. Yeah. Always. From day one. It was because PlayStation has such a strong brand in Japan, right behind Nintendo. So it would be easier for Sony to do it. And it makes sense with these Keiretsu groups as well, as they want to make sure that the Japanese business ethics still are maintained through their thing. So it makes sense.
To me, I'm of two minds, because if it is so hard for an outside entity to come in and purchase one of these publishers, a part of me then feels a little safe of maybe I don't have to pick up a Square or a Arc System or whatever. I can just, I can then focus my efforts in Europe. But to me, I can
still make those deals of timed exclusive type of things.
Exactly. Yeah. And just take a look at Square. If anybody picked up Square, they have so many timed exclusive deals with Sony and Nintendo that it's well, why? Because you're gonna still have to honor those contracts. It doesn't make much sense. I feel though Japan makes sense for them because it's about keeping things safe. These rules and regulations, as I'm aware of them, are becoming more and more lax. And we have seen some Chinese companies actually start purchasing Japanese companies. So to me, it's okay, we need something, because Microsoft has changed the game, or will change the game in a few years, where it's not about the console, it's about content. And what your library is going to look like. So if I'm Sony, the reason why I'm not looking at Japan is I saw some people say CD Projekt Red. It's why? That doesn't make any sense for them. They don't have a good relationship. Their games, I don't think, are frequent enough. And with the Cyberpunk fiasco, kind of hurt their reputation. So you go, well, why not Ubisoft? Ubisoft has thousands of employees. I think it's over 10 or 20,000 employees. Yeah. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. The way that company is structured, it's just not friendly for an acquisition. So couple that with the fact that you have so many of those allegations made towards Ubisoft. I feel if you're Sony, you're just I don't think that this is the best move for us. In all honesty, I think, Ubisoft will go eventually. Will get bought out by someone, but I think they're going to have a harder time finding a buyer than most publishers out there. So if you're Sony, you can't go out there buy a EA or buy a 2K. Your only real option then is to go into Japan. And where does that leave you in terms of what you can acquire? Because here's the deal, Kyle. Sony has 2 years with $18 billion to acquire something. Now, we've seen them buy that, or quote unquote organic acquisitions with partners that they've had for decades, like Housemarque, like Valkyrie, Bluepoint, and debatably Firesprite as well. They've had relationships with them in the past, so it just made sense, right? Yeah. And then coupled with the Bungie acquisition of last week, you're probably down about $4 billion. So now you roughly have $13 to $14 billion of walking around money.
Yeah.
And you're taking a look at Japan and saying, okay, we need to make a move here. So my question to you then, good sir, is, okay, we all know we don't like consolidation, but it's just the nature of it. It's going to happen. Yeah. This is a cycle. It's going to happen. So Kyle, you got to choose. Which one of these publishers to you makes the most sense? If you're Sony, you just got allowance from, your PlayStation, you just got allowance from Daddy Sony. What are we doing with it?
Oh man. So this is the thing where like, I think my brain and my heart say two different things.
Yeah.
Just really quickly on the Ubisoft thing, which I don't think they would realistically buy, because that purchase would be way more than 13 billion.
Yeah.
I just looked up because I know they have studios around the world. They have studios on literally every continent except for Antarctica. So you saying 20,000 employees, like, yeah, no, that's massive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't. Ubi's off the board. My brain says it might be smart to buy Capcom.
Oh, really?
I just feel like that relationship goes very deep, and to have things like Resident Evil under the PlayStation brand, you know, have all these other Capcom games that I can't think of right now, like Mega Man underneath the PlayStation brand.
I mean, you got Monster Hunter.
Thank you. That was the other
Street Fighter,
exactly. Like,
think about the relationship you have with Marvel, and you could go back and fix things with Marvel vs. Capcom.
Exactly.
Put some Sony characters in it. Shit, Kyle.
Exactly. Like my brain says that, but my heart says Square Enix.
Okay.
Because that is like my love of Japanese role-playing games came from Square Enix, Final Fantasy. Like that's what my heart says. The Star Oceans, the Crystal Dynamics team, right? With Guardians now, but the Tomb Raider reboots and like, that is Life is Strange, right? It's published by them, even though it's outside studios.
Don't nod, yeah.
Yeah, but like that my heart says that's what the heart wants. But I think the brain, Capcom might be a better fit.
Yeah. So okay.
Because like you said, I think they could still go Square Enix with the timed exclusive kind of things that they're doing.
I don't think Sega makes sense anymore.
No. Sega Sammy. Let's get it right now.
I'm sorry. The Sega Sammy is not worth my time and energy. Sorry, Sega Sammy. Listen, I don't like Sonic. This has been, I'm just drawing the line in the sand. I think he sucks. But it's more than that. Their IP, when you take a look at it, I feel like the only real one of true value is Shin Megami and Persona. Though Persona is huge, it's like, do we want to throw billions of dollars at that? I don't know. Instead, when I take a look at the publishers there, it can't be Konami, because if you're just buying IP, those IP have to then be used by your other studios, and I'd rather see those studios make their games and not someone else's, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's Konami, and I don't want it to be Konami. I'm the only person in the internet that thinks that, but
they have gyms that they have to run too, right?
Exactly.
That's not Sony's plan.
And casinos. So yeah, there's too much there. Then we get to Square Enix, and we get to Capcom. Now, Kyle, I'm opposite of you.
Okay.
My heart goes with Capcom.
Yeah.
When I take a look at Capcom's catalog, I get hyped. Like, if Sony was just like, and we're dropping this right here, right now, that would get me fever pitch excited. Because I love Mega Man, though I suck at it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Monster Hunter and Street Fighter. And Resident Evil. Oh my God. Exactly. So good.
Potential Dino Crisis, right? Like that's.
Yes. And so,
Onimusha, that's Capcom too,
yep.
right? Yeah.
Oh my God, there's a lot of things we could do. So Capcom makes, I think, a lot of sense because of that fighter section as well. Though rumor has it we have Street Fighter again, or Sony has Street Fighter again. But then you take a look at Square. And I feel like if you're Sony, you have to take a look at your portfolio, see what you're missing. And you see that they've been filling it out. And so when you take a look at like them going, we don't have a live service game, we need help with live service, and we don't have a good shooter, bam, Destiny just comes in for the save there, right? If you're then taking a look at your portfolio, we lost RPGs. And we lost Western RPGs big with the Bethesda deal. So let's lock down somewhere that has a crap ton of RPGs. And I just feel like that company is Square Enix.
Absolutely.
With Final Fantasy and Chrono Cross and all that stuff. So I feel like that makes the most sense, though I am not a Square Enix fan one bit or that knowledgeable of them. Though I will say it then gives PlayStation the opportunity to say, okay, similar to Bungie, Square Enix, you are a vertical acquisition, meaning you are part of the SIE banner and not part of PlayStation Studios. You could remain multi-platform. And then take the Western studios, Eidos and Crystal D, and then bring them into PlayStation Studios so that they can then work with Herman Hulst and the Western team, because I feel like the friction is cultural between Square and the Enix side. Yeah. So to me, I feel like that makes a lot of sense, and that's what Sony would want, and without burning any bridges with Nintendo, though, I mean, they don't have a working relationship anyway, but you want to play as nice as you can and make the illusion seem, hey, it's all about just filling our catalog, and it's not about us being or taking anything away from players. And I feel like they've made that precedent with the big acquisition of Bungie, and I think they'll make it here.
Yeah, I do want to shout out Square Enix. Also, Dragon Quest is massive.
Yeah,
because I know people are yelling at us for not mentioning. Also, for Nakachaka, Nier is Square Enix too, so that would be huge. Yeah, it does make sense, and that is something that I forgot that. Yeah, Sony is out of nowhere, like out of the RPG world a little bit.
Yep.
So that would make more sense than Capcom would, because they have plenty of action adventure kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, it would fill the catalog of fighter in a
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, in horror, but like, yeah, RPGs are huge, and that IP carries so much weight. And again, you already have such a big working relationship with them with all their tentpole titles. Like, you already have Final Fantasy on lock and Forspoken, whatever that game's gonna look like. You still have those on lock with them. Yeah. So you have, and even like you've reworked the Final Fantasy VII remake to make it pretty much just a PlayStation exclusive. So to me, this is like, let's just put a ring on it. Let's just take Square Enix to prom, because I feel like that one's the one PlayStation wants. That Absolutely. Said, I do want to put in a question or add a question here. Esho815 over on Twitter asks, if Sony buys Square Enix, how will that affect the relationship of the JRPG market, as it's a main dominant on PlayStation and Switch, with the latter being extremely popular in Japan? And I want to add that PlayStation, not as prevalent as it once was in Japan.
No, yeah. Yeah.
So this would be, I think, this would affect the JRPG market heavily, right? This would affect PlayStation's reign in Japan, I would believe, quite heavily as well.
But I also am leaning towards that they would allow all these JRPGs to still come out on Switch and stuff.
Sure.
If applicable, right? Like we're not seeing FF7 remake on Switch anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, I think it would affect it in some ways. I think it would give it a boost to Sony for sure in Japan, because that is something PlayStation is losing its focus on.
Yeah,
everything is it's what everyone outside of the PlayStation ecosystem likes to take jabs at: over the shoulder, third person, action adventure, open world.
It's just a story that I watch.
It's sad and all that stuff. Like, it is leaning that way more than when you think of PlayStation 1. I think of the RPGs that I played, the JRPGs I played on PlayStation 1. So yeah, I think that would give a huge boost to PlayStation in Japan, and something that would give it its identity back.
That, and I mean, there has to be more of a reason as to why Japan Studio isn't there anymore. Right? Like those games stopped hitting, and I feel like if you make a new hub that is Square Enix, your quote unquote Japan Studio, I feel like that would revitalize yourself in that region. And as well as like Horizon is an action RPG, right? You have, I believe it's London Studio or Fire Sprite working on a fantasy RPG as well. So if you kind of have like the portfolio, you're looking at it going, okay, we only have 2 RPGs, but we could fill it out more with some JRPGs, and that gives us some variety. I think that makes a lot of sense if you're Sony.
Well, and like in some ways they did with FF16.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, you're with us and you're console exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think fill that void until they make it permanent. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. Mystic Stiv writes, what would you rather, a big acquisition to access the already successful IPs, etc., or the smaller acquisition for indie devs with great creative energy?
That is the question. Like, yeah, I would love to have successful IPs under the PlayStation Studio belt.
Yep.
But I look at like Ember Labs and Supergiant and what they could bring to PlayStation Studios. Those are massively talented teams, both at the opposite ends of the spectrum. Like Supergiant's been doing this for a long time now and just pumping out masterpiece games after masterpiece games.
Right.
Ember Labs' first game was stellar.
Mm-hmm.
So to see what they can continue to do underneath the PlayStation Studios umbrella is extremely exciting.
Yeah. I don't think Sony gave me $18 billion to go out there and buy Ember Labs, though.
No.
So I like, to me, with the wallet that has been given, I must taketh something. That's just the logic I have. I could be totally dumb and stupid. I probably am. But to me, I'm like, if I've been just given a large chunk of change, it is to buy a publisher and a few developers, partners that we have. So, we're going to talk about Haven later. We're going to talk about, Deviation and all that. It's to probably infuse your studios as well with cash, and then go out there and buy a couple more studios. But I don't think like indie devs like Supergiant are interested in the slightest.
No, absolutely not.
To be that. So maybe Ember Labs though. But yeah, I think we're going to see a combination of both, and I think we're going to see them in a few weeks. In all honesty.
Yeah.
Cypher Primus writes, with Square Enix obviously being the top choice, which other Japanese studio or publisher do you think will make the most sense for Sony to acquire?
Go ahead, Joe. Just say it.
No, I'm not going to say From Software.
You're not?
No. Because a lot of people are like, they only think of PlayStation or Xbox when it comes to acquisitions of how does it benefit them. But really, if you're approaching a From Software, how does this benefit them? How does it like From Software is already doing what they want. Bandai Namco just gives them all the money in the world. They know these games are incredibly successful. So you just keep on doing what you're doing. You're content. As much as I love a Bloodborne from, that's not happening. That's
fair.
What I do think is there were two rumors last year that someone was talking to Square, and Square was like, no one's talking to us, you're crazy. And that someone was talking to Arc System Works, the creators of Guilty Gear. Yeah. And that's another way of locking down a fighting game dev. And when you bought Evo, I feel like PlayStation has a vested interest in fighting games. So yeah, I just think people like Arc System Works, Team Ninja would be a great pickup. They're pretty talented though. Strangers in Paradise. Let's say otherwise.
Let's kill Chaos.
But Neo 1 and 2 are so good.
Yeah.
Let's just think about those games. That's probably where I would go, and probably where PlayStation's going to.
So I'm going to bring up 2 other ones. I think an obvious choice would be Kojima Productions.
I don't think that's obvious. I'm like, how much longer does this guy got?
Huh. I think he's got a lot left in the tank.
You think he's creating to the day he?
Probably.
Yeah. Day just drops. All right.
The other one maybe is not obvious to you, and maybe not to the forefront, but it was part of that little bingo card I made. I think level 5 would bring that RPG gap as well that PlayStation is missing. Under one major caveat, though.
What's that?
Like they've obviously make some fantastic games lately. Like I haven't played the Yokai Watch games.
Yeah,
I know they're big, but like Ni no Kuni was great. I love Ni no Kuni on PS3. I didn't love the sequel,
right?
But I don't think actually now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if that was.
Yeah,
no, it was. But like I would specifically say like we would love for you to go back to like the PS2 era of level 5, because the PS2 era of level 5 was Dark Cloud. They made Dragon Quest VIII, which is one of the best JRPGs ever made, and Rogue Galaxy, which is one of the most underplayed and underappreciated RPGs ever.
Okay.
Had Will Friedle as the voice as the lead character in that game. The older brother in Boy Meets World, if you're not sure who it was. I saw nothing was clicking.
Nope.
Rogue Galaxy is absolutely fantastic. Okay. It was on the end of the PS2 life cycle. It's one of those like God of War 1 type of things where I played it on the PS3. So like they're very clearly are super talented on making JRPGs, so that they could fill that void just as well as then buying the giant Square Enix type of thing.
I like it because you have the JRPG knowledge. Me, I am the Western RPG guy. So this and that's why to me I'm like Capcom excites me more, but I don't think it's them as much as I'd love it to be. Now Toxic writes in, out of all the big devs and publishers out there, I'm curious if you guys have a particular preference to see Sony buy out. Obviously, we don't want to see acquisitions happen at all, so most of these games can stay multi-plat, but we are kind of beyond that point now. So, out of the likes of Square Enix, EA, Capcom, Sega, WB Games, etc., who would you like to see come to the Sony brand? Me personally, it's all about Square Enix BB and Final Fantasy. I think I'd die if Final Fantasy became an Xbox exclusive.
I mean, I own an Xbox now. I would still play them, but it would hurt me a little bit inside.
Yeah.
It's so sad that I have this brand loyalty like seared into my brain and my heart. I mean, Square Enix for the same reasons. But then I would go WB Games immediately after that.
Yeah, I would just skip everything and just go WB.
WB Games.
But I don't know who's gonna end up. Listen, to me, I feel like at the end of the day, someone's taking out WB and someone's taking out Ubi to the prom. We just don't know who. And
you made a very good point though with WB Games.
What's that?
Of like most of their stuff has such huge intellectual properties attached to them.
Yep.
I don't know how that paperwork even looks like.
Yeah, it's like
would it just be the studios, and then you're not bringing along Batman, you're not bringing along Harry Potter, you're not bringing any of that stuff.
AT&T has Batman, and they're like, this is ours.
Yeah.
No, they ain't going anywhere unless they get bought out by someone when that merger finishes.
Yeah, and that would include NetherRealm too, right?
Yep, that would include NetherRealm. Correct. To me, it would be WB. I want to make sure they're at a good home. And they're not bought by Amazon, because that is my true fear. All right, enough of this acquisition talk. Do I think this is happening? Yes. Do I think when? It's I would say soonish, but not too soon, because they probably would have had this done by the time they had their earnings call. So I would expect this in like April, May.
All right.
Yeah, maybe March.
Do we see that as during a potential PlayStation showcase, State of Play, like a bigger one?
Oh my God, that would be cool if there was some pageantry along with it, rather than just a blog post. Yeah, that would be really cool. I'd like that.
I would very much like that. Yeah.
You know what I would also very much like?
What?
To continue playing my Activision Blizzard games on my PlayStation, and it looks like I just might.
Joseph Scrabbles over at IGN writes, Microsoft confirms Activision Blizzard will release games on PlayStation beyond existing agreements. Microsoft has confirmed that Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles will not just be released on PlayStation to honor existing contracts, but beyond the existing agreement and into the future. Sorry, my brain shut down for a quick second. In a piece published to explain how the company will adapt to gain regulatory approval for its Activision Blizzard takeover, President Brad Smith addressed concerns that popular games would no longer be available on competing consoles. Quote, "To be clear, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision. And we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love," end quote. Previous reports have indicated that the next 3 Call of Duty games would come to PlayStation, but not indicated what's beyond that. Smith added that Microsoft would be looking to assure the same for Activision Blizzard games on Nintendo consoles. Quote, "We are also interested in taking similar steps to support Nintendo's successful platform. We believe this is the right thing for the industry, for gamers, and for our business," end quote. This is to say nothing of brand new games developed within Activision Blizzard after a takeover takes place.
Yeah, it looks like any new IP that they make, that will be theirs. And it seems like some existing ones, so we are assuming Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo, games like that, games that are a service, they will be on multi-platform.
Do you think that would include like a new Crash game, new Spyro?
No, I think that's theirs. I think that's theirs. That said, I wanted to ask the audience, because we have what a lovely audience, what they thought. Captain Logan writes, "Really surprised considering how the Bethesda acquisition is being treated with their games. I have to assume a lot of this comes down to the cash brought by multiplats and development resources for multiple consoles." Kevin Ainsworth writes in, "It's a win-win for everybody. PlayStation gamers get to keep Call of Duty and other IPs that they've been accustomed to, and Xbox gamers get the day one Game Pass treatment." I said the G word and I apologize. "More games for more people is good." And then I want to add in Jonathan G. "As a gamer, it's a win, but there's a mismessaging here as a first-party organization under Xbox. Why not bring Halo and Sea of Thieves to PlayStation then? If it was just Call of Duty, then I understand that they'll have to treat it as a Minecraft scenario, but that's not the case, and I think they'll bring in more games from Activision Blizzard King to PlayStation." That's a good point, Jonathan G. Now, a lot of this does also seem down to the fact that they are trying to play nice. I think they called it like the charm offensive, where they're trying to charm the government. And just in case the government fights back, going, no, we don't like this. I heard that they're going to use the Chewbacca defense. That being said, Kyle, that's a deep cut South Park reference.
Yeah.
If you dig it, you're my favorite person. That said, I don't care what and why this is the case. It's the case. Right? I understand why Xbox fans may feel a little bit done dirty, because they're like, yo, I thought this was just going to benefit us. This was for us. Why you do this? And I understand why PlayStation fans would be happy right now, because they're not going to be as affected as they once were.
It's the reverse of the feelings of the Bungie acquisition.
Yeah. I'm fine with this. This is fine. Yeah, this is okay. To me, I like what Blessing Adiole said on Twitter. He's just like, you don't make an acquisition of 68, but let's round up, $69 billion to make the largest piece of that pie graph to alienate them.
Yeah.
And there's a point to the way that, a lot of people are like, well, PlayStation got that exclusive deal, for all the DLC and stuff, and people moved over to PlayStation. My argument to that is they still gave you the choice to move over to PlayStation. And PlayStation won because it was debatably the better system to get in terms of the IP and where those deals were coming from. By just saying and closing the door on PlayStation fans, I guess the Xbox bean counter said, no, this would actually do a lot harm to the brand of not just Call of Duty, but us. And a lot of players would be upset. And as Call of Duty is on the decline, you don't want to upset those players. You want to give them choice. And how you incentivize them is with it being day one on Game Pass. And just like with Halo, every month you get a cool little Call of Duty, weapon skin or a charm or whatever. And I feel like that's how you wean people off of PlayStation onto Xbox if I was Microsoft. So
yeah, that makes sense. I think I forgot who said it among the three that you read, and something I realized that I don't think I spoke too clearly on when this happened was this is different from Bethesda because Bethesda games are mostly single player standalone things. Right? Like you play the game, there's no ongoing lobbies or updated player,
and even the ones that are
placate throughout months and years, whatever.
Like even the ones that are a live service game, like Fallout 76, are on PlayStation as well.
Yes.
So I understand, and also on that fact, when it comes to Bethesda's games are not the number one or number two top selling game every single year, right? They don't have the world's most popular IP in the world. Yeah. So that's the reason why Call of Duty gets looked at differently, or why this Activision deal gets looked at differently to, the government. That being said, though, I do like the whole defense when people are like, "Oh, these lawyers wouldn't be doing what they do if they didn't know they could win this case." You know what I mean? This is what the lawyers are doing. They're making sure that they get the thing.
Yeah.
And like lawyers do, they lie. So that said, this is a good move. I'm very excited to see that. Yeah, I get to really the only game that matters to me, Diablo, on my PlayStation. Awesome.
It's such a bummer. You think that Crash and Spyro will stay there?
Yeah, I have
Tony
that
Hawk
feeling.
too.
I mean that's up to Mr. Hawk.
What about what?
I hate myself.
What about Guitar Hero though?
That's a good question. I would think that goes multi-plat just because.
Yeah, I would think so.
I feel like that game, like there are some things where like that game needs an audience, as opposed to like Crash and Spyro are probably cheaper to make, and so you'd be like, well, this is just a nice little incentive, and for our ecosystem, we could lose maybe a little money here.
And plus, thinking of the potential
revenue.
Here's new DLC, new songs to buy every week. Like to have that everywhere, that would make more sense. That makes me a little bit happier.
Yeah, I love how this conversation I really thought was going to go on for 20 minutes and went on for like 7. Because it just like at the end of the day, it really just comes down to more people get to play the game. Yeah, that's great. And I really hate that I've been seeing a lot of people upset by this because they think that somehow there's a tally mark of like if Xbox gets this quote unquote dub, that means PlayStation loses and they're losers or something. Yeah. I really hate that. We're going to get to a point in the console space where it's only going to come down to an app on a piece of plastic. And you're going to see, and I remain adamant because I've been right so far. You're going to see a Game Pass app on a PlayStation. You're going to see a Spartacus app on an Xbox eventually. It's just going to come down to that. Both parties have realized that, and that's what you're doing that's why we're seeing all these acquisitions take place, because they want to make sure that content remains on their app. And I mean, just think about it. Xbox is definitely trying to be the Netflix. They have all these studios making all these things. They want a game a month. And if I am Sony and I'm taking a look at this going, well, we don't need a game a month. That seems excessive. What about a game every 2 months, every 4 months even? Just look at like Disney Plus. They put out a new show every 1 or 2 months, and it's the talk of the town, right? Yeah. Like after Boba Fett ends in a few weeks, we get Moon Knight. And then a month or two after that, we get the Obi-Wan show. And when you take a look at Netflix, it's all like, let's just throw a ton of stuff at the wall. Let's see what sticks. These companies spend billions of dollars to make sure that those shows you're going to, whether it is, a Stranger Things, whether it's the production value of a Disney Plus show, which is insane. They want your eyes on their screen and in their app. So eventually it really just becomes that subscription service. And as weird or scary as that may sound, because change is weird, it is at the end of the day. I'm dying. A good thing.
Don't die.
I had hot sausages for dinner.
Hot sausages,
Yeah,
as opposed to
like
cold
spicy.
sausages.
Like
Oh,
spicy.
spicy.
You got some
Okay.
heat to them.
Okay. I literally just thought temperature.
Mm-mm.
I was like, yeah, duh. What, do you eat cold sausage? Why?
So what I'm saying is in an hour, I'm in danger. Speaking of what's in danger, let's talk about The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit IP.
Cynthia Littleton over at Variety writes, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit film and gaming rights up for sale. Hollywood is about to stampede into Middle-earth. An array of movie, merchandising, gaming, and live event rights to Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and other titles from author J.R.R. Tolkien are coming up for auction now that the Saul Zaentz company has decided to sell its Tolkien holdings. Zaent's company has hired ACF Investment Bank to handle the sale process, which is unfolding this week as bankers make the rounds of the logical Hollywood buyers. The Tolkien properties are projected to fetch at least $2 billion based on recent high valuations for top-tier IP and content producers. Representatives for Zaent's company and ACF declined to comment. The timing of the sale process is not accidental. Amazon is set to premiere its long-awaited mega-budgeted TV series rendition of the enduring Lord of the Rings saga, Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power, on September 2nd. Amazon is at the top of the list of prime candidates to pursue the additional rights now held by Zaent's. The Zaent's company holdings encompass rights to exploit Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit properties in film, video games, merchandising, live events, and theme parks. It also includes limited matching rights should the Tolkien estate decide to make movies or other content based on 2 compilations of Tolkien writings that were published after his death in 1973.
Oh, you could skip all that. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
You're having trouble with some of the pronunciation. I'm trying to give you a break. You can just start at Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers also maintains some film development rights to Lord of the Rings through its ownership of New Line Cinema. New Line had massive global box office hits and Oscar wins with director Peter Jackson's trilogy. But it's understood that in the Zaent's company's view, substantial live-action film rights reverted back to them last year, in part because Warner Brothers had not been actively developing new Lord of the Rings and related content. That development, plus the anticipation for the new Amazon series, was enough to convince Zaent's company that the time was right for a sale.
You know when, because I would have.
God, English is hard today.
No. There's a lot of words that are hard to pronunciate. Here's the thing: you know, someone's fishing for SEO when you mention all these names multiple times in one paragraph.
Sometimes when I read these things, I'm like, are they effing with me?
Yeah.
Why are you saying the same thing over and
honestly,
over?
I wouldn't have picked this article. It's literally an exclusive. No one else could write it right now.
Oh,
so
yeah. Okay.
I was under pressure there. This news literally just broke as we were about to record the show. This is huge.
It's pretty big.
WB losing the rights because they haven't made a movie or any real content with it, which rightfully so, because those movies are magnificent and you don't touch them.
Yeah. No, please no.
This is scary. And I want to preface this, and I put this in here when we mentioned that the person that is up front to get this is Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, oh, it's just for the movie rights. Does it say that here? Does it say that here in this SEO paragraph?
No, it does not.
Guys, we have to wake up to the reality. I don't care if they try to make a Lord of the Rings MMO and it didn't work out. Amazon just put out 2 games in the last 2 years that were mega hits. I'm talking about Lost Ark that just hit and it just did crazy numbers on Steam, and New World, their MMO, that has done extremely well for them as well. Mm-hmm. Amazon is a-coming. Amazon is a-knocking, and that is why we see Sony and Microsoft starting to play so nice to each other, because it's literally them going, again, would you like to form an alliance? Because they'd rather be each other's competition.
Very much would like so.
Exactly. Than Amazon's. So this is scary, man, because I don't know if I necessarily trust Amazon. I mean, I don't. Jeff Bezos' eyes like last episode. But to me, it's similar like with Google Stadia. Remember Stadia? It's literally getting deprioritized as we speak. It's going to be a business-to-business thing now. Mm-hmm. And all those games are, who knows what's going to happen to them. Mm-hmm. You know, Amazon's somewhat similar, but all their apps just suck. And you go there because you have to, not because you want to. You know? So for me, it's just, this is a bummer because I really don't want the Lord of the Rings to be touched. I get the Ring of Power is not connected to the movies, but I'm just really, I don't like this. None of this screams fun.
What is the alternative?
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's the reality of it.
Disney buys them, and Disney has more of a monopoly on beloved IP. Monopoly's the wrong word, but like,
we're just coming to a point, dude. And I know this is like a bigger conversation than just PlayStation, where it's just like, man, what's happening? It's just becoming 5 companies. And again, we're all just cheering it on. It's just so weird.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, Amazon is in your everything.
We're closer and closer to the Wall-E reality.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I take a look at this going, this is an important IP, and it might be going away from us soon. And that's really sad. So
you're saying potentially on the game side of things, the Gollum game might be the last one we see on PlayStation.
And isn't that the truest tragedy? Isn't that the truest tragedy, man? Yeah.
Hey, it was one of the PlayStation's 22 in 22. It was one of those games.
Let's just get into Flash news. A new Jak and Daxter movie. Flash, gotta run. A new Jak and Daxter movie and/or show is in the works. This comes from Giovanni Calentino over at Digital Trends. Sony is eyeing another one of the iconic video game franchises for TV or movie adaptation, Jak and Daxter. Uncharted director Ruben Flesher confirmed that he is currently working with PlayStation on an adaptation of the platformer. And quote, I'm actually working on Jak and Daxter, a version of that for PlayStation, which I think would be really cool to bring to life, Flesher told Digital Trends in an interview promoting Uncharted. A Jak and Daxter adaptation has been in the works for quite some time. In 2013, Blockade Entertainment set to create an animated feature based on the Sly Cooper series, which looked dope. That's not part of this article. It's a goddamn shame. Remember that trailer, Kyle?
No, I don't, actually.
Chef's kiss. It was awesome. Oh, my God. It's not clear if this is a continuation of that project or a revitalization of one to coincide with Sony's renewed push into the video game-based movies and TV. Sony hasn't yet announced the project, so details are scarce at the present. Just want to let you know that this is a thing that's happening.
This is exciting.
Are you excited? Does this get you pumped? Do you want to see this as a movie, an animated show? What do you want?
Ooh, here's what I don't want.
Okay, Chris Pratt to voice Jak.
Obviously,
Tom Holland to be Daxter.
Exactly. What I don't want is a Sonic version of Jak and Daxter.
Where like he enters a real world?
Yes. I don't want real humans alongside a talking marsupial. Like I don't want that.
Yeah, that'd make me upset.
I'd be totally fine with a fully animated thing. Mm-hmm. And in turn revitalize that IP, and then we get a remake like Ratchet and Clank did along with that movie.
Okay.
And it brings that franchise back for a new
do you think
gen.
Do you think not, because Naughty Dog's working on 3 projects, they confirmed it.
Certainly are.
Do you think Jak and Daxter's one of them? You think they're going back to the well?
I don't think it's one of them.
I mean, there has to be a game to coincide with this movie. They're not just...
Yeah, but I don't think it's Naughty Dog.
Who do you think it is?
I have no idea. I just don't think it's Naughty Dog.
I think it's Pixel Opus.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Because they're working on a movie tie-in game, they said.
Oh, that is such a good call then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's write it down. If Joseph's right...
If you don't know Pixel Opus, they did Concrete Genie.
Yeah. I want someone to time code this so I could get to feel real smart on the social of medias.
Absolutely. That's a great call.
Yeah, bring it in. I think an animated show or movie would be cool. This would be for the kids, unless you do a rated hard R Jak and Daxter 3, like God intended.
Like Jak 3, wasn't Jak 3 pretty dark?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Again, it was the game I was allowed to play that wasn't GTA. That was kind of like GTA. It was like close enough. Another bit of flash news. PlayStation is rolling out another PlayStation 5 and PS4 UI beta. It has improved party chat, where you start a party, and this comes from the blog. When you start a party, you can now select either open or closed party. An open party lets your friends see and join the party without an invite. Friends of the party members can also join in. Closed party won't let you do that. This is basic party chat functions. Jesus, we are still figuring it out. This is not for the blog, just personal anecdote there. Voice chat, reported feature update. If you want to report something that someone said in the party, there are now visual indicators for you to identify who was speaking. This will help PlayStation Safety take appropriate action based on your report. We talked about this about a year ago.
Great.
You know? Oh, Sony's listening to me when I'm harassing people and calling people the N-word. Oh no, boo-hoo. Yeah, this is great. Report those people because they're awful. Voice chat volume for PlayStation 4. We're really just... There was a big strike and a miss. You can control volume on your PlayStation 4. Wowzers. Game base overhaul. View all your friends under the Friends tab on the control menu, or access player search feature and friend requests through the links on the tab. Add players to a group. Create a new group directly from Game Base in the control center. When someone is in a party and sharing their screen, you'll be able to see an on-air icon. We are still figuring it out. We made it easier to decline friend requests by adding a decline button on your friend request list. Oh, guys, you can still at me at Mr. Badbit. You know where to find me.
Yeah.
Filter by genre. We've added an option to filter your game collection by genre. We are still figuring it out, letting you quickly find specific types of game experiences. This is great because, the library, as we're getting more and more into that digital future, Joseph gets lost. Keep in home. You can now keep games or apps you choose in your home screen by selecting Keep in Home with the Options button, and you can keep a maximum of 5 games and apps in or on each home with this feature.
I like that.
I like that. That one's, you could have given me folders. Again, still figuring it out.
Yeah, folders would be rad.
Increase apps in the home screen. You can now have a total of 14 games and apps appear on the home screen, but no goddamn folders. What the hell? Trophy UI update. We updated a visual design of trophy cards to the trophy list. You can also see suggestions for whichever trophies to earn on the trophy tracker and access it from the control center whenever you are playing the game. Voice commands, which are extremely basic, but hey, they're there for US and UK only at the moment. More screen reader languages, which is pretty dope, and mono audio headphones for the hearing impaired, which is awesome. Still no VRR support though. So Sony, literally what's going on? And with this new update comes a question from Regent Lord Corgi. And if you don't think I can attach more titles to Lord Corgi's name... Oh, I got a list. I literally wrote them down. What features would you like to see added to the next firmware update? I'm still waiting on those darn folders to come back. I want VRR support. I got this beautiful LG screen. I'm an OLED boy.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're still figuring out party chat.
Yeah, it's still figured out. Hey, we can control volume now.
Oh, man. Whoa. What a luxury.
We added a decline button for friends. Whoa.
Yeah, this update sucks. Not great.
It is a beta, so they're seeing what works and whatnot, but it should have been there to begin with. I do folders would be cool.
Yep.
I enjoyed organizing them. However, I do dig each game getting its own little theme when you go scroll by it. So if they're in folders, that would eliminate that. Yeah, I do like each.
I think theme if you're in the system or menus, because I do like the game pops up and it's live and it's interactive. I do
and
like that.
It has its own music attached to each one.
Yeah,
Play the plays.
But maybe if I'm in the system preferences, I just see a screen of Spider-Man or something.
Yeah.
Or just turn it off.
I don't know what I would want to add, honestly.
I do.
I use my PlayStation to play games and watch YouTube or whatever. So I don't go crazy with party chats or anything.
True Bluetooth support. So I don't need a dongle. I would love that. VRR support. Would love that. Party chat that's not any of this. Would love that. the UI is to me a step down from PS4. I really do think so. And make it so that I can literally choose, if I hold down the PlayStation button, I turn the goddamn thing off. The simplest feature. Are
you still struggling with that?
I might be, yes.
Oh, all right.
Oh, boy. So yeah.
Oh, boy.
Jade Raymond making a persistent and ever-evolving online title for PlayStation. This comes from Matt Wales over at Eurogamer. Last March, Assassin's Creed co-creator Jade Raymond unveiled Haven Entertainment Studios, a new independent developer that would be creating brand new IP for PlayStation. And now, just under a year later, early details on the project have emerged, calling it a persistent and ever-evolving game on PlayStation 5 and PC. Speaking to a French website that I can't pronounce, nor will I try, but okay, let's give it a go. El Devoir. Not offensive. You could find.
I would say Le Devour.
Le Devour. Raymond explains, don't cancel me, please. Raymond explains Sony had initially asked the studio to present 3 large-scale projects with the intention of funding the idea it liked the best. Ultimately, Sony showed interest in all 3, but the one Haven opted to focus on to begin with is described as a persistent evolving online environment that will seek to differentiate itself by other popular online games by promoting inclusion and caring. Aw, I don't think this game's going to succeed because of that. Raymond does tell the publication that Haven, which is apparently triple in size since last March, intends to push the technical boundaries of the PlayStation 5 further, and such as collaborating with the PS5 architect Mark Cerny to better exploit the console's tech.
Hide your ears.
Uh-oh, he's coming for him. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is Mark Cerny, and I would just like to say that with this game, I'm going to collect all your lobes.
I'm trying to... Oh, no. I got transported into the Silence of the Lambs with a fine Chianti.
A nice fresca.
What was the joke we told around that time with the ear thing? What, Tim Cerny, his brother? Yeah. Was it Tim?
Tom.
Tom or something like that, yeah.
This is cool. I want to know what the inclusion and caring thing is. This kind of seems like a rare-ass game.
Is it a Strand game, like Death Stranding?
Yeah, maybe.
Where we're helping each other out in this open really world cool. and stuff.
Yeah, I like this. Gives me kind of Sea of Thieves vibes, but less pirating and more being kind to each other,
giving hugs to each other. Yeah,
which I don't know how. We're gamers. We like to shoot things in the damn face.
I mean, you do. I don't.
All right. The Wolf Among Us 2.
Stab him in the back.
Gasp! What a turn. The Wolf Among Us 2 is coming out in 2023, and we got a teaser trailer. That was amazing, Kyle.
Oh, so good to see the Fables version of the Wizard of Oz characters with Tin Man and Scarecrow and Dorothy. Yeah, Scarecrow's just sitting there hidden, blow. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. That music, that score started. Goosebumps on my arm. Just seeing awesome. Bigby and the neon lights and whatever. Oh, I'm so excited it's back.
Nagachaka writes, Sheriff Bigby Wolf is back for Wolf Among Us 2, and thankfully using a brand new game engine from Unreal. Looks fucking gorgeous. What are your thoughts on the trailer, and will you guys be picking this up day one? Amazing, and absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Katie writes in, since Telltale is back, what IP would you like to see them tackle after they're done with The Expanse? Would you like them to create a story in a world that already exists, or would you like them to branch out and try to make their own original IP? I personally would love to see them create their own universe, their own story. All their games have been original stories in an already established world, so I would be very interested to see what they could do with a brand new IP of their caliber and experience in the realm of storytelling. I reckon they could do a great job if done right. Again, this isn't Telltale though. This is just the name of Telltale. Remember, and before we get excited, we do also have to know that it had an awful work environment as well. Hopefully this team's getting treated a lot better. But honestly, give me a Star Wars game. Give me all them choices.
Sure.
become a Sith or a Jedi, or just like you're again a goddamn bounty hunter?
I'm kind of with Katie. I want them to do something brand new on their own.
Yeah.
And not tie it to something that is already out there. However, let me tell you the first thing that popped in my head. And I don't know if it would work as a game.
Okay.
I would really love to see a Telltale What We Do in the Shadows game.
Oh, we're done.
Right?
This man. Yep.
Would that not be awesome?
Get a pitch deck ready, go in the office.
Let's go.
We're getting this goddamn...
We follow Guillermo. Guillermo is who we play. Gosh, that show's so good. Please watch it.
Dude, I love the movie where they're describing... Where they intro Deacon... He's like, yeah, Deacon is old soul. He has some old ideas. And it just cuts to Deacon going, we should get slaves.
Oh, Taika Waititi is a genius.
Goddamn gem. All right. Chrono Cross Radical Dreamers Edition comes out on April 7th. This came out of the Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, and I added that thing next to it.
Yeah.
The NVIDIA leaks are true?
Yeah, all these games that got leaked last year.
That was part of it, and I pulled it up. Chrono Cross Remaster was on that list. In addition to an unannounced card game 2, which is the voice of cards, The Forsaken Maiden, which is coming out soon. There are other things that have come out.
Yeah, like the God of War.
God of War on PC, yeah.
Oh man, this is happening.
So, like, does this mean we're getting a Final Fantasy IX remake?
Yeah.
Oh my god! Yes, please. BioShock 2022. Is that a thing?
It looks like.
I'm very, very excited about this.
Well, you know what I'm also excited about, Kyle?
What?
A Sackboy Big Adventure.
Yeah.
You want to know why? All new Aloy and Silence costumes comes out on February 18th alongside the game.
I feel bad that they come out on the 18th while everyone's playing Horizon.
Give me a week. This is neat. Like, we're going to talk about right here. Ghost of Tsushima put a Horizon Forbidden West costume in the game and it looks rad. I got it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love the cross-pollinating between these studios.
I said it on Twitter. It's one of my favorite things that PlayStation Studios do.
Yeah.
Is that they celebrate each other's games and the people that make those games. And it just feels like a really loving environment in studios when it comes to like the love for each other's work. And to put somebody else's work in your game is spectacular. One of my favorite things of Ghosts is, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but there's an Easter egg after you beat the game with some origami.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, this is so freaking cool.
Go to the shrine, figure it out.
Yes.
It's going to be dope.
It's amazing. Dope. So like having those type of things in the games are just spectacular.
Yeah. MLB The Show 22 was shown off at the Nintendo Direct, a PlayStation game. Wild what type of world we live in. And oh boy, it looks rough, kid.
No, it doesn't.
It looks bad.
About?
It looked real bad.
No, it doesn't.
All right.
Absolutely not. I played the Vita version back in the day of MLB The Show, and it looked exactly like that. So it will play great. Yikes. I promise you, it will play great.
Yeah, it's at 17 FPS. It'll play wonderfully. The Ghostwire preview showcase. Someone wrote in. I'm sorry I did not add your name because I am a giant piece of shit. Ghostwire Tokyo had a big premiere over the weekend, and I saw Joe did a complete 180 on. Oh, I think it's Famous Seamus. Complete 180 of it. What made you change your mind? And I'm sorry, the most famous Seamus I ever met in my whole entire life.
I have the same question. I'm also curious what you saw that made you change your mind. Because you were like, I'm one of
the 5 people, Kyle.
I have no shot at getting into this game. That's what you said like last week. Like, we haven't seen anything of it. Weird hand moves.
I mean, there's still a good chance it'll be bad. But here's the thing. It kind of looked like back in like Skyrim where you played the mage class.
Sure.
It kind of looked like that. And it kind of looked like, I think there was a game called Lichdom that I always wanted to try where you're first person mage shooting fireballs and shit.
Okay.
I'm into that. I'm super into it. And by seeing all the particle effects and like the weird, like when you're wrapping up ghosts and you like in the string and
with
you kind of pull them.
Yeah.
Oh, with the
yeah.
the name of the game. Very clever developers. Yeah, I was into the combat, surprisingly enough. It just looked like BioShock in Tokyo.
Yeah.
So I was in.
I'm more in than I was.
Mm-hmm.
I do think I'll end up picking it up. Just because it's like the last Bethesda game on PlayStation, potentially.
I'm gonna be picking this up though, more optimistic.
Yeah, I'm a little worried of enemy variety. I want more of that. How I was trying to figure out how the HUD works and the powers work. Like, is it a recharging thing? Like, there were numbers for like ammo for each kind of spell. It looked like. How do you get more of that? Those are the gems you're collecting? So I still have a lot more questions.
Okay.
But it looks cool.
You were way into it than I was, because I was just like, pretty colors. Ooh. I didn't think about collecting goddamn gems like an affinity gauntlet.
When you defeat enemies, it's like what's left after, like what they leave behind. Kind of
also, this was supposed to be Evil Within 3.
Yeah. And it morphed into this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's all the flashes. A lot of flashes. Again, this is the biggest episode we ever done. So, Kyle, I have a question for you. Just one. Yeah. Are you holding on to something?
Oh, my blue and pink dual senses.
I'm jealous and prepare the drop. Here are the PlayStation steals and deals coming into the PlayStation storefront. Ali World for PlayStation 5 and PS4.
Yeah.
Sifu for PlayStation 5 and PS4. On February 8th. And the 10th of February, Edge of Eternity on PlayStation 5 and PS4.
Do I know that game?
That said, while Kyle looks that up, we are going to be dropping our review of both Ali World and Sifu in just a minute. But before we do, a new segment we like to call Share Play, where each and every month we highlight one of the community members of the show. Last month, we had JB the Purple Monkey, which you should be checking out his Spotify ASAP. And this month, we want to shout out Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots. They just made, first off, they've been supporters since day one. Since day one of the show. And ever since the show, they've been thinking of making their own channel. And it's called Game Nasty. They have a first video called I Finally Made My Girlfriend Play Resident Evil. Think of it like girlfriend reviews, but way wittier. Both of them being involved and having a whole bunch of fun. This is awesome. Because, Mr. and Mrs. Nasty Boots, they met because of this community. They fell in love because of this community. And now are making content because of this community. And the video is literally spectacular. For our first video, goddamn. Yeah. They're like, so what do you think critically? I'm like, it's fantastic. They're like, no, be critical. I'm like, I don't know, you could add a little bit of music. I mean, like, other than that, it's great.
I haven't watched the full thing yet, but like the lighting is on point in that room, man.
Yeah.
It looked great.
I was literally making dinner. I was like, oh man, like I was literally enjoying myself while cooking up some food, man. It was great. Yeah. So go check them out. They're great people and great supporters of the show and just great community members. So go check that out. With that said, before we get into the Sony Pony Express, it is our favorite segment called What You've Been Playing. And with that, we have two reviews. One where we'll be joined with and by Ainsley Bowden over at Season Gaming. These are both two really big in-depth conversations. So if you don't want any ideas of what any of these games are, you could skip ahead in the description. But with all that said, with all that out of the way, Kyle, let's start with Ali World. How are you liking it, man? And so now it's here. It's in front of us. You've been playing it. So tell me, someone who has never touched this series, I believe, ever, what Ali World is all about.
Ali World is the latest installment of the Ali games. 1 and 2 I played on the Vita. It was one of my favorite Vita games to play on there. And Ali World takes everything from those two and makes this the most welcoming and most easiest onboarding experience. Pun intended, I guess. That was unintentional. A way to get into these games. It is a level-based skating game where every level has different challenges in them.
Okay. So is this like a Tony Hawk type of situation where I'm plopped into a world? Is this like a 2D experience?
Sure.
What are we
So
talking?
the way in the past has been strictly 2D,
Hmm.
going left to right, sometimes right to left. Um, in this one, as you're going further into Ali Ali worlds, it does some plane shifting. So
Okay.
like you go up a ramp and then you would come to a track ahead. You'd move up the screen a little bit or down the screen technically if you're looking at it. Or you can choose a path and go up and do the up path.
Mm.
There's many branching paths. Each path has their own little challenge tied to it. So you will have to replay levels over and over again to do every specific challenge. But it is so fun doing it. It's not a bummer that you have to keep replaying them to do all the challenges.
Okay. So this is still like a 2D plane. I'm
Yeah,
thinking in my mind akin to like, like a Donkey Kong Country almost, where it's kind of like 2.5D.
absolutely. Excellent comparison. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's not like it's not like Tony Hawk, right? Where Tony Hawk is you hold X down, excuse me, the cross button down.
There you go.
And then you let go to Ollie, and then you do tricks with square, grabs with circle, grinds with triangle. This one, it's all tied to the analog sticks.
Mm.
So you would hold
So
down,
it's actually kind of like Skate.
absolutely, yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
So you would press X to push to gain speed. And then you would hold down the left analog stick to prep a trick, prep an ollie. Depending on when you let go of the stick on the edge of a ramp, depends on how high you go, how far you go. And while you're in the air, you can do different movements with the left stick to do different flip tricks.
Mhm.
And when you're going to land on a rail, you would hold down on the analog stick or left, up, whatever, to do different grind moves as well.
Oh,
And the
wow.
right analog stick would be for various grabs where you take your hand and grab the board. If you hold them, it tricks it out a little bit and does an advanced version of that. You have spins with the shoulder buttons where you can do 360s and whatnot. It's very technical.
Yeah.
And that in the first two games is, I think, the reason why people thought this was too hard to get into,
Okay.
because it does take a while to get used to it. And the thing that Ali Ali World does fabulous with is and it's the hot buzz term of gaming the last year or so, each biome, there's like 5 biomes in here, they teach you a new skill. And there's like 15 to 20 levels in each biome that are testing you on those skills. And then when you make it to the next one, you already have a good grasp of that first skill as it teaches you a new one. So by the end of the last biome, you are doing every skill that you've learned, because you're going to need them to get through the level and do the challenges and whatnot.
That's super cool. That's super interesting. I'm you're winning me over right now on this game. So
sweet.
far.
It's awesome. It needs to be played. It's so good.
So my question here, because I'm looking at this game and it's kind of giving me heavy Adventure Time vibes in terms of art style.
I get that.
But there's also some type of like, I don't know what to put on it in terms of like the color palette they use, but it's something incredibly unique. Is there anything you'd like to describe when talking about the visuals of this game in terms of what these games?
I view it as like, when you think of a candy shop or like an ice cream parlor in cartoons, it's those kind of vibrant, bright colors.
Yeah, like pastels.
Yeah, very pastel-y. It's beautiful, and each biome has its own color palette to it. And that color and uniqueness and art style makes its way to the customization too of your character. So like, this is the most, you didn't really get to do that at all in the first two, if I remember correctly. But in Ali Ali World, you are constantly rewarded with new shirts, new sneakers, socks, new boards, hats, hoodies, tattoos, hairstyles. Like, you are constantly rewarded. So it's making you want to go back in and change up the way you look. Yeah. Because something it does really, really well, which I didn't realize it, or really cool that I didn't realize that it did, while you're loading in, your character is on the loading screen for other players.
Oh, wow.
And the only reason I knew that is because a PSN friend of mine popped up on my screen and their character was there doing a trick as
That's
the loading
cool.
screen. It was like, oh, that's a cool way to show off your character to the other people.
Yeah.
And I was a blue dude with an orange beard. I had one of those helmet hats with the beer cans on the side with the straws coming down. Oh man, tattoos on my leg. Oh man, I was rocking
A
it.
lot of customizations.
A lot of customization.
So, all right, we talked about a lot already here. We talked about the open world, or sorry, the world design. We talked about the gameplay mechanics of it, customization. I want to talk about the story real fast. Is there something here? Why are we doing all these kick flips and back flips?
So the story is not the strongest part of this game.
Mm.
You want to play this game just for shredding it up in the levels.
Okay.
That is the reason you want to play this. This was their first attempt at a story in it. And it's
Serviceable?
It's not crazy. Yeah, the goal of this game is the current skate god is retiring and looking for a new skate god to take that place. And as you're going through the biomes, you're trying to gain favor of the skate god of that area as you reach your way to Nirvana. And so you're going through, and there's some characters that you meet, like I believe one of the characters is Dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name, and he's just wearing the elbow pads and the knee pads, and he's the stereotypical dad that's into skating kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then there's Susie, who's the one that is taking video for you because everyone's really into skating. And I don't know if you know anything about skateboarding culture, but that was a big thing back in the day where people would record doing tricks and then make tapes of it and whatnot. So that doesn't really play, like, you don't see the tapes at all, but she's just there with the camera as you're going through the things. There's another character that I forget his name, but he's just super into skating. And he's I think the editor-in-chief of the skate magazine for Radlandia.
Okay.
Yeah, so the characters are cute. The side characters that you meet along the way, like there are some challenges where if you go on the up path, you'll run into, my favorite one is like this buff seagull who's like, hey man, I'll teach you the real tricks to like bulk up. And then when you meet him, it unlocks a side quest, like a side level where you are on like a muscle beach filled with buff seagulls, and you're doing like a mission for him. So nice. there is really cool variation in the world design that way, where they are adding more things for you to do, different side quests, different characters that give you them. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So let's talk about voice acting. Is there any here, or is it all just dialogue?
All dialogue. And if that's not your thing, it gives you the option. Every level loads up and you have like a little conversation with your friends there.
Okay.
But you can very easily hit circle and just like, I just want to skate, and then go right into it. There's no negative effect of you doing that.
Sweet.
You can just go in.
So it kind of respects the people that are like, I don't care about the story. I just want to.
Absolutely.
I just want to shred, bro.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the one last thing here, sound design. And when we talk about sound design, it's all over the place. So first, let's talk about the beeps and the boops. How's the sound design in this game?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it sounded like a skateboarding game.
Okay.
It sounded like when you were grinding, it sounded like it should.
Yeah. How about this? Because, I'm thinking skating has a lot of attitude towards it, right? Like how classic those Tony Hawk, soundtracks are, man. Right? So here and now with Ollie Ollie World, what's its soundtrack like? Does it have that punkish vibe to it?
It can't be any more opposite.
Really?
It is in a good way.
Okay.
It's not like a bad way or anything. Ollie Ollie World is all about just vibing out. So it's like lo-fi hip hop, just kind of like chilling out while you're skating through the levels. Nothing to get the adrenaline going, like Goldfinger or anything like Tony Hawk. But it fits perfectly. I'm just chilling out and skating and just kind of laying back and relaxing.
That's nice. So this is really they just want you to de-stress type of game.
Absolutely. And the really cool thing is once you've reached Nirvana, it could be unlocked beforehand. I wasn't sure or didn't check it out beforehand. But they do this thing where you can go into, I think it's called the Nirvana portal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go and generate new levels based on difficulty, the length of the level, and the style or which biome it's in.
Nice.
And you'll appreciate this. It has a Bloodborne Chalice dungeon thing.
Oh, I would
where
love this.
Every level that is generated comes with a code, and you can share that code with friends so then they can skate this generated level that you just went through.
Awesome.
So it's like endlessly playable, new things all the time, and it's I don't know if it's like super simple. I played a couple different generated ones. But it seems serviceable. It seems like a great added thing when you're tired of all the other things to do, which I find very hard to believe because every level, if you want to do all the challenges, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of perfection of doing them.
Yeah.
Which is that ollie difficulty kind of thing. But yeah, there's a lot here to do.
Sweet. So, Kyle, it seems like you overall had a really fantastic experience with this game. The one more thing I do want to ask real fast, boards. Can we customize the boards?
I don't think you can make make your own?
Like you could choose designs or whatnot.
Oh yeah, you could choose.
Okay.
That's part of the unlocking. If you beat certain challenges, you get new board.
That's important to me.
Well.
That's important to me. I want a Kermit the Frog.
I don't know if that's in there.
I'll make it happen.
Did not run into Danny Trejo. I think he's only come. I think that's after it launches everywhere because I didn't recognize him or run into him yet.
So, Kyle, final thoughts on this game. Where would you put it? Because we don't do the whole ranking thing here. But if we were going to give this, a pass, a bronze trophy, silver trophy, gold trophy, or a platinum must-have, this is a masterpiece type of game, where are we putting it?
If you are into skating games, if you're a fan of Ollie, if you're a fan of EA Skate, or just Tony Hawk in general, and want a cool skateboarding game to get, it's a definite platinum.
Nice.
The difficulty that came in the first two, this one is difficult further on, but it does things where it helps the newcomers ease into it a little bit. So like something that I want to mention before we end it is the first two, if you didn't press X to land, I keep saying X because it's ingrained, cross to land.
There you go.
In the first two, if you didn't do that, you would wreck and really slow down. In this one, pressing cross to land only gives you bonus points depending on how the timing is. So you don't have to worry about that and worry about crashing if you don't press cross in time to land.
Nice. Okay.
So it does those things where it's way easier for a newcomer in it to get into it, but those that are fans of the series that played the first two, they're going to fall in love with it and learn to love the nuances and the new things like wall riding, which is brand new and super fun to do.
Yeah. So what if I'm not a skateboarding professionado?
Yeah. It's tough for me because it is doing the tricks is still pretty tough. It does take, you do have to rewire your brain a little bit. I still think it's worth a gold. I still think is a quality game.
That's awesome. That's awesome to hear. And again, thank the Ollie World team for sending us a code.
I believe it's Roll 7. Correct?
Roll 7. Thank you guys so much. And that's our thoughts of Ollie World. Now, let's tune in to my conversation with Ains about Sifu. And welcome to the Trophy Room Reviews Sifu. This is a review discussion breaking down Sifu for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I am your host, Joseph. Alongside me, Ainsley Bowden of Season Gaming. How are you, sir?
What's happening, brother? I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Playing some Sifu.
Awesome. I know this game has been haunting my dreams. And honestly, Ains, you are the only person that I know who has beaten Sifu.
Me too. And I've spoken to other people who have review copies at different outlets. I'm not going to name them, but I'm the only one in checking with all of them who they've said they know who has beaten it.
Yes. And with that said, I have had my copy for a week and a half, or sorry, less than a week, half a week. And This is a daunting experience. First and foremost, this game is not for the faint of heart. So if y'all haven't seen Sifu, this is the martial arts game made by Slow Clap, and we got our review copies from there. And this is a revenge tale. You are on a revenge path to kill those who have taken down your family. That's it. That's the story.
I actually I can talk about it because it's going live later, right?
Yeah, of course. It's a review.
I actually write that in my review, my written review, that it reminds me a little bit of Kill Bill. In that you basically, there's these 5 key nemesis that you want to take down for revenge, and it's set up in that same similar way where you go one by one, and each one represents a level. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, voice acting where it's there, it's fine. I think the cool thing about the VO is that because this is a roguelite, you're supposed to die, and the older you get, you have, of course, an older voice talking. So there was one time where I haven't been young in a while. Like I was like 56 for a whole long minute, and then I died and went back to the beginning. I was like, oh wow, I'm not used to his voice being so youthful.
Yeah, and you can, as you've learned, right, and I learned the hard way too, is you can age really quickly.
Yeah.
It's
very quickly.
It's an interesting mechanic. I was struggling actually on how to describe it. But you said it well. I said the same thing. It's kind of a roguelite. It's got a few of those elements, and it reminds me of an era of games I wrote back. I'm older. We always joke about that. But the 8 and 16-bit era, where you had a limited number of lives to beat a game. And it's basically a play on that. As you age, that's pretty much your lives as you're going through the game. And it makes it tough.
Yeah, and it pretty much multiplies. So if you die the first time, you start at age 20, you become 21. Then if you die again, you go and you age to 23. And then if you die again, you're 26, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there are ways of breaking it. Like there are harder elite level, like little mini bosses within the level where if you kill them, it deducts one of the lives so you don't age as fast. The cool mechanic here is the older you get, the stronger you become, but also the weaker health that you have.
Yes, the less health you have. Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I found a little interesting in that mechanic. But
Which, by the way, they patched and made that easier.
Oh, really?
2 days ago. It was even harder before that. Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about this combat. Let's talk about the combat because Ains, there's a lot to unpack here, man.
Yeah, there is. Hey, don't take my phrase. What are we doing?
So let's talk about. Let's get into the nitty gritty. First, how do you like the combat?
It's amazing. It is. So when you first play this game and you're getting your butt kicked, which you will, I promise you. You don't realize just how deep it is. And the more I played, and I now have over 20 hours into Sifu, and I've beaten it multiple times, and and I've kind of gone through it. The more you realize how intricate it is and how precise it is. And for this game to be successful, it had to be, because the crux of the whole game is the combat system. Yeah. And if the combat system was faulty or slow or sluggish or unresponsive, it just wouldn't work. But fortunately it does. And that allows you as the player to just create these incredibly memorable scenarios where you literally feel like you are a martial arts master in a movie. Yeah. And it's when you get the feel of it, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of Sekiro. Sekiro is incredibly challenging. The game can punish you in an instant. But when it all comes together and you nail it, there's hardly any other feeling like it. And that's what Sifu feels like. Yeah,
when you get into an engagement with like 8 to 10 guys in a room and they don't even touch you, you feel like you're the master of this game. And it feels so good. But then like 5 seconds later, you'll just get your ass kicked by by just a nobody. And then you're back to square one. Yeah. I hate the combat. Okay. I feel like at times it's amazing, and to take one of your words, at the other times it's maddening. Yeah. Like this is the only roguelite where I feel actually punished when I die.
Yes.
Because sometimes I'm like, that's not fair. I got that off. No, don't do this to me. That type of stuff.
The timing for like specific parries and dodges is so minimal that you swear, to your point, you'll be like, I know I hit that. And you can get that level of frustration, and compounding that frustration at times is the fact that it is possible. I was explaining to people and having this conversation with a few other peers that are reviewing it. It is possible to play this game for, say, 30, 45 minutes, right? And not make any progress in terms of your next run.
Yeah.
Because the only permanent unlocks are the skills. There's no permanent unlocks to increase your health, defense, stamina, nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
So it's really all just about learning the nuances of the enemies and figuring out patterns. But otherwise, you can spend a lot of time not really getting anywhere.
That's what I feel like. It is a big get good check.
Yes.
Where I'm stuck on chapter 2.
I was too.
It was, I'm getting to the guy, and then I'm like, I'm age 46, and he just mollywops me. The one problem that I have with the game is the avoid. So like, there's not just a perfect parry or dodge. You actually, when someone's like trying to kick you, you're supposed to hit L1 and then go back to avoid with the analog stick. I hate it. Just give me an L1. There's because there's so many fists coming at me at once, I feel bombarded. And so my brain can't switch off or switch on so much. It can only take so much input, and sometimes there's just way too much input. The other thing that I get it, it's a roguelite. There are shortcuts to get to the boss, but it kind of feels like in Demon Souls, where, your bonfire's in the beginning, and you finally get to the boss, and when you wipe on the boss, you're all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that, again, it's a roguelite, but maddening, because I want to train on the boss. That's the thing I'm having an issue with. So I feel like I'm getting 5 minutes in or 10 minutes in just to get to the boss to get my butt kicked, and I haven't learned anything from that encounter. To me, it's all about the exact precision, and dare you go anywhere within the little window of the enemy tell, and you're done.
Yes.
And that, because it has a Sekiro gauge where you have only a finite amount of blocks until someone breaks your block and then punishes you.
Your
structure. Yeah. But man, it doesn't feel like it's teaching me anything. It only feels like I'm being punished when I'm falling.
Yeah, it's tough. I was there. The second level is much more difficult than the first, and it's much longer with tougher enemies. And I wrote in my review that I play in my game room by myself. There's no one around. And I audibly said out loud, how the hell am I ever going to beat this game for this review?
Yeah.
Because I just felt like I to your point, I was punished. And that's where I think this game walks a line of the more modern roguelites, as you said, you feel like you're not learning anything. And a lot of the roguelites that I've played are lights. You're kind of either learning something or gaining something with every run, right? So that even if you're not doing well, if you do 10 runs, you'll be able to overcome the challenge because you're stronger, you have more items, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Whereas in this game, it is solely about just getting better at the same enemies. And that's why it feels a lot like a game out of the 8 or 16-bit era to me, because there was no such thing as powering up after you die in those games. It was starting over and doing better. And that's what this game is, for right or wrong. I do think, and I've said this, we've been talking about this offline, I do think it's going to limit this game's audience a bit.
Absolutely. Because
of that. And I absolutely think people are not prepared for how difficult this game is.
Yeah.
It's going to be a wake-up call. And the crazy thing is, Joe, is we keep talking about level 2. There's 5 levels, by the way. I don't know if we said that.
Yep.
Level 3 is harder than 2. Level 3 is my favorite level, and it has some really, really amazing environments and kind of things out of almost like martial arts movies. But man, it is tough. Now, I will say, you mentioned the shortcuts.
Yeah.
What I found is if you look at all 5 levels, each of them has a shortcut to get to the boss. But they're all different lengths. As you said, in the second level, there's a shortcut you earn, but you still have to go through a few rooms and several engagements before getting to the boss.
Yep.
Level 3 is a much tougher, longer level than 2, but there's 2 different types of shortcuts in level 3, and one of them goes directly to the boss.
Beautiful.
So if you die at the boss, you fight like 2 scrubs, and then you can go right to the boss again like that.
Yeah.
Level 4, you have to go through a few rooms again, a couple. But it's different per level is the point I'm making. So they seemingly tried to balance out the difficulty even once you have the shortcuts, depending on the levels themselves. So it kind of varies as you go through it.
Yeah, and you get to find these little mementos, these little shrines that you get to choose whether you want to upgrade your structure, your health, your weapon durability, how much, how rewarded you get when you successfully avoid or parry, you get some of your energy back, all that type of stuff varied throughout the level. So they're encouraging you to, hey, go play level 1 before you get to level 2 and buff out Sifu a little bit more that way. Even then, man, it is kicking my butt. So let's okay. Game is very hard.
Yep.
Let's talk about the level design. Okay. How are you digging it, man?
I like it. It's a little basic, right? It's rather linear. There are side kind of shortcuts, as we said, and there's sort of side paths you can take in some of the levels. The first level is pretty straight through, but they open up a little bit the rest of them. But they're still pretty linear. There's not a lot to discover or experiment with. But I like, as you go through all 5 levels, they are different locales, art designs. Like the 3rd level is a museum. The 4th level is like a corporation tower. 5th level is like a spa. So it's the variety in the levels in terms of their design and the way you go through them is different, and I like that. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, I love level 2's aesthetic. Like the club is like popping. I love the sound that I'm hearing from it. The colors, you can't forget it. How can we forget about the colors?
And there's a lot of culture in this game.
There's a lot of it. And so, it's a beautiful, it really is a beautiful game.
It is.
Because even when you're playing the first level, which is slums, it's still beautiful. I love the art direction in this game.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic. And the sound, I heard one person, I think it was our mutual friend Jordan, is like, the one reason why I didn't like Absolver was kind of like it sounded like I was hitting a wet blanket when I was making contact. I don't feel that way here.
No.
When you connect, it sounds like you're really punching someone.
Yeah. And
sounds nice.
It has an impact. Yeah. Especially, I wrote about the kind of choreographed finishing moves, when you do the double button and there's all kinds of different ones, and they're actually contextual, which is really cool too. So like, if you are near a wall, your guy will slam them up against the wall and then kick them. I've flipped people over desks. I've splattered blood across like corners of walls or desks and stuff. And it's really neat the way that the combat plays out.
And how the combat plays out in the levels, like you'll pick up a bottle and you could like toss it at someone, or like pick up like a broken chair leg or a pipe and just like wail on them. I got a broom and kicked a lot of ass with a broom.
The staff, I'm actually going to write up an article, I think, of like essential tips for this game. Yeah. And what I've learned is the staff, which the broom acts as, right? Mm-hmm. That is your most powerful weapon. If you know how to use it, it takes a while. But the key, well, I won't get into it, but there's a lot of kind of key things that'll help you. One of them is your focus meter. But learning how to knock enemies down onto the ground is absolutely key. Yeah. So there are, like I said, it's got this learning curve that smacks you in the face, and it basically knocks you down. But once you get over that hump, it becomes a really, really just enjoyable game.
Yeah. And when you're unlocking more combos and more skills throughout the game, like when someone tosses a bottle at you, you can catch it and then like toss it right back at them, which I love doing. That's so satisfying. There's a lot here. This game has a lot of systems that play so well with each other. But to me, it is that hard skill gap that is going to, scare a lot of people off.
Yeah.
That said, before we get into our final thoughts, I do want to shout out the DualSense in this game.
Okay.
Oh my God, it feels nice.
Do you really enjoy it?
Yeah, I do. I love it. Why, you don't?
No, it definitely has some support.
Yeah.
And there's a few areas in the game where they really utilize it. There's this one part in level 2 where you run through this hallway and these lights are lighting up in sequence from the club, and it actually goes in sequence on the controller, like which is really cool. But overall,
with the rain as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. That's fair. There wasn't anything that really jumped out to me as like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I'm still waiting for that Astrobot moment, which is not a fair comparison, I realize, but I'm still waiting for that, which is something that really blows me away. So, but it does utilize it to some degree.
Yeah, I really like the haptics. There's no like adaptive triggers, of course, on this game because it's fighting. But even for a game that uses the face buttons as your primary, hitty maneuvers, it's pretty darn good. So, okay, Ains, is there any final thoughts you want to wrap this game up with? And where would you throw this on the meter? That is, or how you guys would rate it over at Season Gaming?
Yeah. So,
or you know what? For people to go to Season Gaming, hint at like the ballpark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it definitely earned one of our SG medals. I'll say that. So we give medals to any game that score higher than a 7.
Okay.
On our 1 to 10 scale. We do use a number scale, but you can find all the details over there and read my full review. I believe that this is going to be one of those games that's like a cult classic. We already kind of commented on the fact that the challenge it presents is going to limit its audience. And I think that there are going to be a group of people, a chunk of people that buy this game and get disappointed that it's far more difficult than they were expecting. Because the gameplay videos make it look like a beat 'em up, which it is, but it's to do the beat 'em up is incredibly challenging.
Yes.
So I think that's going to inhibit it. My one kind of big complaint I wrote about with this game is the camera annoys me sometimes because you have full control of the camera, which you have to in a game like this. But the problem is the camera requires the right thumbstick.
Yeah.
You also need your thumb to do the attacks, which are, as we've already said, the timing on them has to be perfect. And there's a lot of situations, especially later in the game, level 3 has a bunch of them, where you're in a tight space.
Just rub it in my face. I can't get past you. Just rub it a little bit more.
But you're in a tight space, and all of a sudden, like, it's that classic 3D game problem where the camera's like here, and you can't even see what's happening. And if you can't see what's happening in this game, believe me, you're dead in an instant. So that's my only big qualm. But I really grew a level of appreciation for this game as I got over that hump, saw the whole experience, all the levels, the different bosses, the different designs, and kind of took a step backwards and thought about what Slow Clap had developed here. I really started to appreciate it. So I really enjoy it. I think there's going to be those kind of masochistic people like me who love tough games that just kind of smack you back. I think there's going to be a group of us that really love this game and kind of hold it up on a pedestal. But I think that group is going to be pretty small, sadly.
Yeah. This is a weird one for me because I think this is like how we rate it. It's like on a trophy level.
Yeah,
because trophy.
I get it. Yeah.
To me, this is like a gold. This is a gold trophy, man. This is a really great experience that I feel like for people that are dying for that old retro challenge, you're gonna get it here. I think what the systems that they have in place are all incredibly well done. But it's so weird that as high as I would rank this game, I can't recommend people buy it.
I don't blame you. I'm with you.
Because I feel like it's a masterful game. It's great at everything it does, but man, I don't think a lot of people are ready. So really check out more videos on this. Check out Season Gaming's in-depth review on it to really make your mind up. Because this game, as someone who's platted a Sekiro and platted games like Bloodborne, this is even above my pay grade.
I was going to say, it's not like you don't like hard games or good at games. I mean, you know that. So that you're commenting on that just goes to speak to it. And like I said, I was in the same place. I've played it more than you have, I think, at this point. And so I've put more time in it. So maybe I've just you're gonna hit that spot where you get over the hump. I hope you do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with you. Yeah. And it's a shame because you always have to wonder, not to get us in a side discussion, but you have to wonder if the game doesn't sell well because of that, it's going to be disappointing because Slow Clap did develop something what I think is special here that deserves to be recognized. But if it's too hard for people to access on a broad scale, I don't see this game being successful, sadly.
Yeah, same. Likewise. That said, listen, again, you saw my gameplay on the side. You heard our words. Or if you're the audio watcher, go watch this. You heard our words, dang it. Ainsley, where can people find you, brother?
Oh, man. You can find me. There's only a couple Ainsleys in the world. I'm one of them. That's so right. You're pretty easy to find me. And then just check out Season Gaming. That's it's as simple as can be. You can find everything there, including the full review of Sifu and a discussion on our big cast, which should be up now as you're listening to this as well.
Yeah. And thank you again, Ains, for that in-depth talk on Sifu. We are back, and we are here with the Sony Pony Express. Yeehaw! This is where you could leave your comments, your questions, send them over to us over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter, or you can send them directly to us on the Trophy Room Discord server. Jedi Master Rin writes in. Okay, so this one's more for Mr. K-Sep, Kyle. But I would like to know your thoughts as well, Joe. What is it about Sifu, in your opinion, that is turning away all walks of gamers in the first few hours, but keep some around to the end? Also, did you expect this title to be so divisive? Kyle, go for gold. You just heard me and Ains talk about it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I haven't put a lot of time into it. I want to say a little over an hour. Mm-hmm. I walked away beyond frustrated, and I have never been more bummed because everything about Sifu is rad. It is beautiful. Yeah. The soundtrack is amazing. Might be my favorite use of the DualSense since Returnal and Ratchet, really. Like walking through the world and hearing the wind in the DualSense and the footsteps and the haptics feeling great when you connect with punches and stuff. But the gameplay is too sadistic for me.
Yeah.
I think looking back now, Bloodborne seems so much easier than Sifu. And the reason why Sifu is so bad is like you were mentioning earlier to me while you were playing it, like there's no visual cues for like parrying. Mm-mm. So like I'm trying to parry, and as I try to parry, the other enemies hit me. And so like it trying to time the right attack from the right enemy is, when you're surrounded, it's super difficult. And it's not very rewarding because sometimes I feel like I hit the parry and then I go to punch him and he's already blocking.
Yeah.
So like it's not forgiving at all. And it requires way too much studying and learning for way too little bit of a reward. So I don't know if I'm going to continue.
I mean, to me, I said it on the review. I think this game is a masterpiece, and I don't think you should buy it. I really do think you need to look and watch this game, watch people play it, and really go in for, because it's not for the faint of heart. I platinum Sekiro. Everybody tells me From Software games are so hard, but I keep coming back to, but From Software games are fair. That's the thing. When I die, I literally feel it's on me. And when I die in a From Software game, I feel like I'm being taught something. Yeah. Right? The tells are super obvious. They're super there. And it gives you enough reaction time, I feel, to do what you need to do. Sifu doesn't do that. And I don't think Sifu's Avoid, it's called in the game, their version
like
of dodge isn't very good, because the camera, there are times where it's frustrating because I know I did the right dodge, but because the camera's so wonky, sometimes it just doesn't work. And so it feels like that game's just punishing you and not teaching you. And it wants perfection so much that that's all it wants. It doesn't want there's no in between. So again, I talked about it at length, but my feelings are likewise with you.
And there's a lot tied to the block as well. Like it's
just don't do it.
Well, that's the thing. Like it's like you have to tap it when an attack comes towards you to try to parry.
Yeah.
with little success, at least as far as me playing. You hold it to block at all times, but if you're blocking, you're gonna what is their stagger meter called?
Yeah, just the stagger meter.
Sturdiness or whatever, like that grows as you're blocking. But also while you're holding down the block button, sometimes they have a weapon or whatever may attack high or low, and you have to move up or down depending on the attack. And everything is so fast. There's no slowdown with the attacks. Like it's hard to read. It's a lot. Like my blood pressure is rising since talking about it.
Yeah.
But I've never felt so sad.
Right, because like, when it works,
everything
it works.
about it is so cool.
Yeah,
the opening is so rad. I love that opening.
I got 12 hours into this game. I got to chapter 3 and I dropped it.
Yeah.
Again, and I see some people. If you really love it, awesome! Congratulations,
yes,
you're the real gamer. I concede. But for me, it's just not for me. And again, I'm not. And here's what I'm not doing: telling Slow Clap to put a God mode in. If they want to, cool. I'll go back to it if they put in a difficulty slider. Definitely would. But they don't have to. This is the game they wanted to make, and it's a masterful game at that. I don't feel any qualms dropping it. I got 3 hours. I got 12 hours in. I know what I got. I left beating a couple of dudes. I'm fine. I'm good. That said, Tall Twits writes in, I know there will be a lot of chat about Sifu on the next pod. Oh, it's right here right now, man. With the game being pretty difficult, what are your thoughts on using cloud saves to save progress and going against the design of the game? Is it cheating or is it smart? Tall Twits, here's where I come in. However you beat it is how you beat it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge you. If you want to use cloud saves, beat the design of the game, go for it, man.
How do you think I platinum Bloodborne in 60 hours? I restarted that save at the final fight. Yeah. That's how I did it. Listen, tisk. I also hate when people are like, "Oh, you cheesed it. You didn't play it the right way."
No, I beat it. Okay.
You beat it exactly. You beat it.
Okay,
there's nothing in the rule book. There's no text box that pops up like you're not playing the way I designed it. How dare you? I'm going to turn the PlayStation off right now. No, however you beat it or makes it easier for you. Yeah, fine by me.
Yuna writes in, hey guys, so on Monday I was doing the nightly Dragon Age session.
I love these weekly Dragon Age updates.
I love these updates, man. I'm really rooting for Yuna. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like I'm really
absolutely.
shipping her and Anders together. I'm getting all so close of having him in the party again. See, look at that update. Oh my God, they're going to fall in love. I went through a dungeon that was a little bit too long and had me thinking about dungeons. What makes a good dungeon in a game? Also, I hope a new feature in the beta of being able to pin 5 PlayStation games to the home screen is a very good feature. I agree. Yeah. But just give us folders.
What makes a good dungeon?
All right. Hold the chuckle. We're all adults here. Length matters. You don't want a dungeon that's too long. You don't want a dungeon to feel too short. You just want the perfect length. And I think a perfect length dungeon is 30 to 40 minutes. One mid-boss, one final boss. And I think a game that does it pretty right is Destiny.
Sure.
You're in a strike, you're running it, and you're trying to clear it out. Or World of Warcraft is when I think of dungeons. Who does it the best? Yeah. They have to be varied. You know, they have to have a good theme.
To me, that is the biggest thing for me when it comes to dungeons and games. It needs to be visually pleasing. Yeah. And it's got to be cool to go through.
Yeah.
I instantly, when I think of dungeons, I think of the original Dark Cloud, which I love that game. But those dungeons are like 10 floors of pretty much the same surroundings, just different alignment of rooms.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't, no.
It can't just be
boring very quickly.
Yeah, it can't be just room, hallway, room, hallway, room, hallway.
No.
There has to be something different. There has to be challenging enemies there to block you.
And the enemies is a good one too. Like I want them to match the dungeon.
Yeah.
I think that again, it's all about the visuals to me. Like the monsters in this dungeon could be the same monsters in the other dungeon stat wise and code wise, but if they look completely different and match each dungeon, I'm fine. That's great. That's fine by me.
Also, loot's got to be there, man.
Yes.
Gotta have tiered loot, right?
I'm not playing through a dungeon and then at the end just getting rewarded with a single potion.
Yeah.
No, thank you. No. I need something very good at the end of this thing.
Yeah. You know who technically does dungeons really well? Because I'm also thinking in an open world, games like actually Dying Light 2. When you go into a catacomb, everything feels unique. It's not feeling samey. I really dig that. Yeah.
Shout out to. I don't know if I want to spoil it, put it in quotes.
Don't spoil anything.
But like the original Horizon has some really cool dungeons.
Okay, there you go.
I know people are playing through it now, but like those dungeons were unique and very cool to go through.
Yep. Agreed. Yep. So Annie Day now writes in, I'm a current subscriber to the following: Crunchyroll, PlayStation Plus, and PlayStation Now with Spartacus coming around the corner, hopefully. Do you think I've set myself up to lose money by paying individual subs when they might combine in the near future? Thanks. Love the show. Keep being awesome.
Come on, you have to say it.
I have to say it. Bang yourselves.
Yeah.
Again, in Great Britain, that word's different.
Sure.
We may be offending people, because it's disgusting and derogatory. All right. So, again, cancel Awesome Dave, because he started this movement.
No, don't cancel Awesome Dave. Absolutely not.
I got a word for him. It starts with the letter.
That's not a very banger way to talk to Awesome Dave.
He gets it. He's part of it. All right. Are you willing? I really hope they do have an ultimate service, but I do have a feeling any day now. Well, maybe you get to consolidate. If it's just a PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, and you're link both accounts and you get X, amount of months of Spartacus. I feel like that would be dope.
Well, here's the thing I'm worried about. I'm good with PlayStation Plus until 2025 because I buy them when they're on sale. Yeah. So, I hope that when it gets, moved over to Spartacus or whatever, that there is some sort of turnover with all those months that I have already paid for.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for. But I do think they need to consolidate everything into one thing for at least have an option with all that there.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, boy. That said, that's all the questions we got this week. Big week. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This was awesome. So thank you all so very much. Kyle, anything you'd like to spotlight before we head on out of here?
Sure. Me and my blue and pink DualSense you can find over at Mr. K-Stuff on
Where
Twitter.
Did you get them?
So I had these pre-ordered through Amazon and they kept getting delayed. And I was strolling through Target with my nieces, and lo and behold, in the cabinet, I saw the colors. I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can cancel those pre-orders real quick. And I was able to. I picked them up right there. Hopefully, the purple one is just as easy to find for me.
No, purple one's exclusive to the PlayStation Store
until Friday.
Oh, until Friday.
Until Friday, and then it's everywhere. That's what the fine print says on PlayStation Direct.
Oh, but you know how they lie though. It's probably a week afterwards.
I don't know. We'll see.
Whatever. I'm gonna try my best because purple's dope.
Yeah, you can find me on Mr. K-Step everywhere on Twitter, PSN, Xbox, all the things. Check out all the indie games coverage we do over at 61indie.com. SIXONEINDIE.
Nice. You can find me over at PS Trophy Room. You can find the show over at PS Trophy Room. You can find me over at Mr. Badbit. Make sure the Horizon giveaway. We are only 5-star reviews away from hitting 250 reviews in North America. That's awesome. And no matter where you are in the world, it really does help us out. Like we say it each and every week. It makes our day when we see 5-star reviews. It really does help keep us going because the grind's hard. The grind's difficult. And as we're 2 full-time employed boys, it gets tiring sometimes. So when we see those words of encouragement, It's so amazing. So again, thank you all for already doing so, and for those in the future, thank you as well. Make sure you drop us a 5-star review as well over on Spotify for the Elden Ring giveaway as well. And with all that said, and with all that out of the way, everybody, keep your wits about you, keep hunting, and keep playing PlayStation. See you guys.